Let's talk about the business of your particular field. So
Okay.
transactional, right? It's billable hours, right? That's
Yeah, I mean that's not exclusive to transactional thing. It's just exclusive to private practice. Really, I guess like you don't bill hours as a government attorney, do you?
nor do you as a contingency attorney. Yeah,
Yeah.
like,
No, I mean billable hours is the antiquated system in the legal field of how they track an attorney's productivity. I guess is the easiest way to do it. But it's generally, Jesus, generally, it is the basically actions you can take that can be put towards bills that can be generated for a client. Saying you could in theory work 10 hours a day and only bill 4 or something like that.
hmm
Um, it's I don't know. It's kind of a pain. Like I get that you need a system to be able to track how an attorney's doing, but it is a little annoying that it's kind of a thought in the back of your head the whole time. You're like,
hmm
oh, I need to, you know, am I billing enough hours? Am I doing enough? But system is what it is. And
yeah,
again, I'm very happy with where I am and kind of the expectations they have, and knowing, I don't know, whether it's the way the economy's going or the way the workflow's going, because that's the other frustrating thing is you can only bill hours if it's something that you're doing on behalf of a client. But if you're an attorney into a firm who doesn't have like a controlling interest, like you're not a partner or something, you're generally not bringing in clients,
okay,
at least not as much as the other people.
yeah,
So you're not necessarily in charge of your workflow.
hmm.
So it's like, oh, I'm not billing enough hours. I mean, you could just not be working, which
Right,
that's on you. But you could just not have enough work. So like, and I'm not saying that that's in my case, but like in theory,
hmm.
like that's that. What are you supposed to do? Like
Right,
it's not your fault. Um, but I think people understand that. If you work in a decent firm, like they're gonna understand that. They
ebbs and flows.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. It's like
yeah,
it's like a business.
yeah.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
can talk a little
It's
bit more about that, like,
yeah. No, I mean I don't know. It's like
are you jotting down on a notepad like every what is it, 6 minutes? Like,
yeah. I think that is generally how they do it. They do it in increments of 6 minutes. Yeah. But I think it's just 'cause they break it up like the hours into tenths.
okay,
Yeah. So it's like I spent zero point 0.2 hours on this or whatever. But kind of, yeah. That's honestly how it is.
so
Like,
how do you do it? How do you do it? Is there a software? Is there just a
some
notepad?
firms have softwares, and I've we don't really use like well we do we actually do have a software, but I don't personally enter in there. My assistant does.
Okay,
So honestly, what I do is I have a roaming Excel sheet for each day,
okay,
and I just it's pretty simple. I just throw in the information for the client, the matter I'm working on, and a description of what it is I was doing specifically, so the client can look and be like, oh, he spent an hour doing this,
hmm
and I'll be like, oh, time entered, Joe Schmo, client,
hmm
did X Y Z, and that's it. So it's really not that complicated from my standpoint. I'm sure it's a
right.
pain for my assistant, but I mean, you get why, because then they take that information, they put it into your system, it gets approved through whatever the administrative process is in your firm, and then
hmm
they generate bills for the clients to act on.
Right.
That's how they get paid.
I occasionally hear about, and maybe this is more in, when you're dealing with clients that are insurance companies or
Mm-hmm.
something, but I've heard about it mostly in that context. But do you and the partners at the firm, do you guys talk about like, oh, you build X amount for this task, but it's going to be reduced? Are you part of
Yeah,
those
so
conversations?
it's like I think any other business really, where like the client has a face that they put to it,
hmm
right? So at least in my experience, it's generally I'm an associate in the firm, right? And so generally there's a billing attorney, and that's just like the person whose name I guess would be on the bill that is
Okay.
generated, and that's kind of the face. That's the person who most likely was one of the initial points of contact for this client when they came in or started working on this project.
hmm
So it might be work that I do, and I put it in my bills, and then before everything's proved, that attorney, being the billing attorney, because it's their name on it,
Right.
looks it over, and
Okay.
like if they have any tweaks, then they tweak it whatever way they see fit. I think some firms allow um, attorneys to bill even non-billable things technically, but it goes towards your billable hour rate. Even though the firm can't use it to generate money.
Okay.
For instance, like a networking event. while you're going out there and you're trying to get work and you're meeting other attorneys and benefiting yourself and the reputation of the firm maybe. It's not technically something that's going to generate money. It's not like by going to
Right.
that whatever it might be, that cocktail event for an hour or something like that, that's actually going to make money for the firm. But
Right.
they still might. Some firms might allow you to put that towards your billable hours.
Hmm. So, if you don't mind me asking, how many billable hours per year is like an average amount, or what does your firm, you know?
Average amount, I can't
Okay.
really speak to that. I mean, I can tell you what. I mean, various job sites. I think it varies. It usually varies in the size of the firm and kind of your market.
Hmm.
So larger firm, more billable hours. That's the idea.
Hmm.
So I guess it's kind of like a range.
Okay.
And then usually as you get more experienced, I believe that goes up as well. So, you know, you whatever you become a senior associate, become a partner, or whatever, your billable hour rate probably goes up. At the same time, your billable rate probably goes up too.
Hmm.
So the same work that you were doing for whatever, let's say $200 an hour, is suddenly $350 an hour or whatever.
Right.
But because presumably it's better quality work because it's getting done by a more experienced, seasoned person. So,
Hmm.
yeah,
But their billable like goal for the year, you're saying that also goes up?
probably, yeah, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I know it generally does with associates. For partners, I don't really know because at that point you have a stake in the business, but
Hmm.
can't really speak to that. But yeah, I mean,
Fair
that's the
enough.
idea. You make more money. You're getting paid more. You're supposed to put more in.